Hello everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet the Cupid's Arrow wrap scarf. Now we're calling it a wrap scarf because it's a little bit wider than your average scarf. It measures about 17 inches across, and so it can also be used as a nice wrap across your shoulders. It's perfect for a date night, but it's also perfect for morning and noon and dinner, so any time of day. So the wrap scarf measures about 17 inches across and it's about 58 inches long. So it's a nice long scarf. And the truth is, you can make it as long as you want it. The free crochet pattern is on my blog, and you can find that link down in the notes underneath this video. To make the Cupid's Arrow wrap scarf, you're going to need about 10 ounces of a medium number 4 worsted weight or whatever type blend you want to use, as long as it's a medium weight number 4 yarn. I use this Hello Gorgeous made by Red Heart, and you need 10 ounces of any yarn. The color's called Orchid Blossom, and again, it's a medium number 4. And I used 2 of these. Each one has 5 ounces. Now, for today's demo, I'm not going to be using this variegated because variegated is very hard to see the stitches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this lavender that I have on hand. It is a Red Heart Super Saver, and it's a medium number 4. And so I'll show you how to do the arrow scarf with that. Variegateds are just really hard to video unless it's a long stripe. All right, but like I said, you can use a solid, a stripe, or a variegated, whatever you want to use. I'm also going to be adding this cute little rhinestone heart to pin it together. You can use that. You can use any pin or button or not. That's totally up to you. We're going to be stitching today with an eye hook, and this eye hook is a 5.50 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle to weave in your ends, and if you're using a button, of course, to sew on your button, and then you'll need a pair of scissors. To make our Cupid's Arrow scarf, it's going to be in the shape of a chevron, and we're going to begin with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 52 chains. And I do recommend that you chain this initial chain just a little bit loose because it's going to be the end of our scarf and we don't want it to curl up or pucker up on us. So I'm just going to chain 52 chains. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to place a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go in the 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, and pull through the second 2. Now this first chain 3 counts is our first double crochet, and here's our second double crochet. So we're going to place a double crochet in the next 22 chains so that we have a total of 24. So that's 1, 2, all right, there's 6. There's 12. And now we need to do 12 more because remember we want 24. So I have 24 double crochets. Our chain 3 counted as our first, and then we stitched the 1 and then 22 more, which is a total of 24 double crochets. Now in the next chain we're going to stitch 3 double crochets right in the same chain. 1, 2, 3. And that leaves us with 24 stitches on this side. And so in each of those chains, we're going to stitch 1 double crochet. And you can see the point of our arrow where we stitch those 3 double crochets. And we're going to continue working down this side, stitching 1 double crochet in each of those chains. So this is how row 1 should look. You should have 24 double crochets, counting that first chain 3, and then 3 double crochets in the next, and then 24 double crochets. Then we'll chain 1 and turn our work. For row 2, we're going to begin with our double crochet decrease, or stitching 2 double crochets together. So we'll yarn over. Because our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, we'll go right in our first double crochet and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in our next double crochet and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over, and go through those last 2. So we've taken our first 2 double crochets and decreased it down to 1. Now we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each double crochet until we reach the point of our chevron, or our arrow of our scarf. One double crochet in each of these double crochets till we reach that center double crochet of those 3 that we stitched on row 1. I've stitched in each double crochet, moving up till we reach those 3 double crochets in the center. And in this center double crochet, we're going to stitch 3 double crochets like we did on row 1. And again, this is our point of our arrow, or chevron. All right, so I put 3 double crochets in that center double crochet of the previous 3. And then now we're just going to go right back down the side of this side and stitch 1 double crochet in each double crochet until we reach those last 2 double crochets, and then we'll stitch those 2 together like we did at the beginning. So 1 double crochet in each double crochet till we reach those last 2. I've placed 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets until I reach the last 2 stitches, and we're going to stitch those 2 together, stitching a double crochet decrease. So yarn over, go in the first stitch and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the last 2. And then we're going to chain 1. And this is the way that row 2 should look. You should have 24 double crochets with your 3 in the center, and then 24 double crochets. And remember, our double crochets together only count as 1 double crochet because we decreased at the beginning and the end of the row. And we'll be doing that for every row as we go. Now for row 3, we'll be doing our stitches the same as row 2, only we'll be stitching in the back loop only. And what that means is, if you look at the top of your row of stitches, you have loops that are facing you and loops that are facing away. The loops that are facing you are your front loops. The loops that are facing away are the back loops. And so we'll be stitching it the same, we'll just be putting our stitches in the back loops only. So yarn over, we'll go in our first stitch in the back loop only and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next back loop only of the next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the last 2 because we're stitching that double crochet decrease first. Then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, working up to the point of our arrow, working in the back loops only. And you'll see that ridge start to form. See how it forms a ridge right there? Alright, so I'm just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each double crochet till we reach that center double crochet of those 3 from the previous row. I've stitched 1 double crochet in each double crochet in the back loops only. So now I'm to those center 3. I'm going to stitch 3 double crochets in the back loop only of that center double crochet. And now I'm just going to work down the other side of our arrow, stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet, again until I reach those last 2 double crochets, and then we'll stitch the last 2 together. I have double crocheted down the second side, working in those back loops only, and I have 2 stitches left. So yarn over, go in the next stitch and pull up a loop, go in the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the next 2 and chain 1 and turn. And again, you're going to have 24 double crochets. You'll have 3 double crochets in that center double crochet and then 24 double crochets for row 3. We chained 1 and turned, and again we're going to stitch the first 2 together. On this row we're not stitching in the back loops. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, go in the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 3, and yarn over and go through this next 2. And then 1 double crochet till we reach the point. We'll stitch 3 double crochets there, and then double crochet down and stitch the last 2 double crochets together. And so basically we're just repeating row 2. We do our decrease, double crochet to the point, 3 double crochets in that point, double crochet down and do our double crochet decrease in the last 2 stitches. So this is how the wrap scarf should look at this point. We've got 4 rows. Row 4 we repeated row 2, and now for row 5 we're going to repeat row 3 where we stitched in the back loops. And again, it's stitched the same. It's just stitched in the back loops. We won't stitch down here, we'll stitch in our back loops. So for row 5, we're going to repeat row 3. So I've yarned over, I'm going to go in the back loop of the first stitch, pull up a loop, the back loop of the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through those first 3, yarn over and go through those second. And then I'll do 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, working in the back loops only, till I reach that point again in the center, and then I'll stitch 3 double crochets working in the back loop only, and then work my way back down and do my decrease at the end, again all working in the back loop only. I've completed row 5, stitching in the back loops only. And now what we're going to do for row 6 is we're going to repeat row 2 again. We're going to do a decrease stitch, double crochet across, 3 double crochets in that center double crochet down, and decrease on the end, and we are not working in the back loops only. So this is how the wrap scarf should look after 6 rows. It's all double crochet except for this row is stitched and this row is stitched and the back loops only. And the pattern is going to continue 1 row in the double crochet and 1 row in the back loop only double crochet. But for row 7, we're going to be bringing in some open spaces, and that just gives it a little more texture. All right, each row will have 24 stitches with our 3 double crochets in the middle and 24 stitches. Row 7 will be stitched in the back loop only. So we'll go ahead and do our double crochet decrease in the back loop only. So yarn over, go in that back loop, pull up a loop, back loop of the next one and pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the 3, yarn over and go through the last 2. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next double crochet and double crochet in the back loop of the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the back loop of the next stitch. And this is the way that this row will work. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, working up to those 3 double crochets in the center of our arrow. And we'll repeat this up to here. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. And remember, we're working in the back loops only on this row. I've completed this first side. You'll have 12 sets of double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then chain 1. We'll skip the next double crochet, and that brings us to the center double crochet of the 3 in the center. And we're going to stitch 3 double crochets going in the back loop only. And now we're going to work down the other side. We stitched our 3 double crochets in the center double crochet, working in the back loop only. We chained 1. We're going to skip 1, and we're going to work our double crochets again in the back loops only on this other side here. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the back loop only, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the back loop only, and we'll work our way back down this other side. So I've worked down this other side here, and this brings me to my last 3 stitches. I've got a double crochet and a chain 1. I'm going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to stitch the last 2 together in a double crochet decrease. So I'll go in the back loop, pull up a loop, back loop of the last stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over, go through the last 2, and chain 1. And again, you should have 12 on this side as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's the way that row 7 is worked. We stitched that last double crochet decrease, chain 1, and turn. And now for row 8, we're just going to stitch a row of solid double crochets. So what we're going to do to stitch these 2 together is we'll go in, we yarned over, we'll go in the first stitch and pull up a loop, then we'll go in that chain 1 space and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the second 2. Now we'll double crochet in the double crochet. Whoops, there we go. Then we'll double crochet in the chain 1 space. Double crochet in the double crochet, and double crochet in the chain 1 space. And we'll do this all the way up to the point, and then again we'll put 3 double crochets in that center double crochet, and then work down the other side of our chevron. And this is how that first side should look. Solid row of double crochet. I've double crocheted in that last chain 1 space. I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet, and then that brings me to that center double crochet, so I'm going to stitch 3 double crochets in that center double crochet. And it's very important to always stitch those 3 because that's what keeps the shape of our chevron. All right, so now I'm going to stitch a double crochet in the next double crochet. I'm going to stitch a double crochet in the chain 1 space, and repeat that, working all the way down this other side of my chevron, or Cupid's arrow. All right, so I'm just going to continue stitching a solid row of double crochets, 1 in each double crochet and 1 in each chain 1 space till I get to those last 2 stitches, and then we'll decrease. So I've completed the other side. Here's the first side of filling in with the double crochets. We did the 3 in the corner, or the point, and then we double crocheted down. I'm to my last stitches. I'm going to double crochet in that double crochet, and then I'm going to stitch my last 2 stitches together. So I'm going to go in my chain 1 space and pull up a loop. Then I'll go in my last stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the 3, yarn over, and go through the last 2 and chain 1. And now what you're going to do for the next 2 rows is you're going to repeat row 7 and then repeat row 8. So we have 2 rows of the open stitched in the back loop only, and then a row of double crochet. So repeat row 7 and row 8 one more time each. I completed those 2 repeats of the open solid double crochet up here. So we have 2 rows of the open and 2 rows of the solid double crochet. And so now the way the pattern works is you're going to be repeating row 2 through row 10, and you're going to repeat that 8 or more times. Now if you repeat the rows 2 through row 10 8 times, you're going to get a scarf that is approximately 58 inches long. If you want your scarf to be longer or shorter, you can adjust that. Just remember that the repeat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. And of course, you don't have to have as many repeats if you don't want to. But for the written pattern and for the size pattern that I have made for 58 inches, you need to repeat row 2 through row 10 8 more times. Once you've done your 8 or more repeats for as long as you want your scarf, you'll end on this row right here, the one after the open row, and then you'll want to repeat row 4 2 more times, which is just your decrease at the beginning, your decrease at the end of each row, double crochet, 3 double crochets in the middle, and you'll want to do that 2 times so you have a nice edge on your chevron or Cupid's arrow wrap scarf. Okay, then you'll tie off and weave in that end. Now, there's no trim on this, there's no edging, it's just the way it is. If you want to add something, you can. I don't think it's necessary. And so the end of your scarf has this cute little point that looks like the end of an arrow, and then the front of your scarf has the point itself. And I like to wrap that around and maybe add a pin or a brooch like the heart one that I showed you.